Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Lost Season 1. I thought I had never seen the show, and then as we're watching it, I'm like, why have I seen this show before? I feel like I've seen all these scenes. I know what's going on. I was very confused. And then I am talking to my dad, and he was like, yeah, I think we watched Season 1 of that. And so I was like, okay, that makes so much sense. So I have seen Season 1, but I didn't remember much of it, obviously, because it was a long time ago. But yeah, so we watched Season 1, and we're going to obviously watch the whole show and talk about it, because we enjoy that.
Yeah. Going into it, I had seen it all when it was first airing, but I was like, I don't know, we did the math and I was in like 5th grade, so I was really just watching it because my mom and my brother were watching it. And I remember some things, I don't remember other things. So I remembered more of the later part than the beginning part. And it's kind of expected when you're like 12 watching a show like Lost. Looking back, I always remember liking it. I don't know if that was probably just a byproduct of my family liking it, and so I did, even though I probably didn't know what was going on half of the time. But it's one of those shows that I think because it was in that like period of time that I like look back to really fondly, even if it sucked, which I mean, after watching, I don't think it did, but I was kind of nervous.
I mean, now knowing that I've seen it, it's a little different, but like I was definitely skeptical because of just the hype about it, and I know that I don't know the ending. I have no idea what the ending is, but I know that it's bad, and a lot of people hate it. So that's kind of what my knowledge of the show is. Obviously, as I was watching, remembering that I had seen this before, it was, it became a little clearer to me. But I was definitely skeptical, and I was really surprised with just some of the things that happened in the show, like how quickly things happened. And I mean, we watched Game of Thrones, we watched things like that, so like we're not afraid of things happening or
things not making sense.
Things not making sense. But so right here, we're going to give you our kind of non-spoiler review of Season 1 and talk about it a little bit. And then we're going to then have a spoiler part where we're talking like details of what exactly happens in the show and the things that we liked and we didn't like. Season 1 was a little slow at the beginning. It was kind of hard getting through it. And then, like, as the season went on, I started kind of getting more invested. There's a lot of things that happen right at first. I mean, obviously, like, not a spoiler is that a plane crashes, so, like, them figuring out what exactly happened with that and all those kind of things, and, discovering things about that. Those are all things that were super important in the beginning. And like it just felt kind of slow, but then as things start happening, whether it's on the island or on the beach or, as they start figuring more things out, it gets a little crazy, and that's when you start kind of getting really fully invested in the show.
It does start a little slower, but I think that's necessary because there's so many different characters. I mean, you have a full plane of people, and like a full cast of characters, and so you're trying to figure out who everybody is. I do think the pilot sets it up nicely, though. You kind of get a glimpse of everybody and kind of who they are at their base. And then obviously as the season goes on, you get more in depth and more invested in these characters. But I do think from the get-go, it's just a lot to take in because it's like you have a lot of questions about like, oh, why would a plane crash, or who are these people?
All right, so spoilers. Do not watch after this point. We'll give you like 15 seconds to click off the dang video.
Here's a cute baby.
Oh, yeah. Baby.
Say hi. Oh, you just want to say hi to your dad.
Hello.
Say
right.
Spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
Yay.
Baby warning. People die. People die. They die really quickly, too. It was very surprising for me. Like I said.
Are you talking about Boone?
I mean, Boone, the pilot.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the pilot.
Yeah, so, and then even the air marshal.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of people that die really quickly. Not people you super care about, other than, like, Boone. But, like, I was not expecting, as many deaths after, obviously, so many people died very quickly.
Non-characters died from the plane crash, but they don't count.
Yeah, they don't matter. They don't really count. But yeah, so I mean, number one, like one of the things I didn't really like about it is I feel like the flashbacks were too much. I mean, I like them, but I felt like they were just, there's so many of them. I get why they're doing it, because that's the story, you know, obviously that's how you figure out the history of the characters. But, I mean, I felt like it was just so much sometimes.
I really like the flashbacks, though. I mean, some episodes might have a lot more than maybe necessary. But I like that it parallels what's happening on the island. So a lot of times they will show us what characters are dealing with and them dealing with a similar situation or a similar emotion in like a previous like moment in time for them. And we see them dealing with it before the crash, and then we see them dealing with it after the crash. And a lot of times the outcome's different. The one that comes to mind is like Charlie before and Charlie after. Whether it's taking the heroin before, or, like, not taking it, even though later.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of my favorite parts, I think, was Charlie's just, like, drug storyline, because, like, I mean, you're on an island where you've got one bag of heroin left and you're an addict. Like, at some point you're going to run out, and so that was a very interesting thing, you know, for him to deal with on an island. And I mean, I like also that all the characters are connected. Like, I mean, you have like Sawyer and Jack's dad talking in the bar, things like that, where it's kind of like, and as the series goes along, like you find more and more of that, which is very interesting.
Like,
how they kind of all
Sawyer even in the background of Boone at the jail, or not the jail, the cop station in Australia when he's trying to get his sister. Yeah.
Also, like, who's your favorite character?
Oh, Charlie. And, well, yeah, Charlie, but Hurley's a close second.
Hurley, yeah. I really like Locke. I think he's a very interesting fellow. And I mean, the fact that, like, he is no longer paralyzed from the waist down is very interesting. That's pretty crazy that it just, you know, he came to the island and had legs, you know, like, that's pretty interesting.
Hurley's just funny. I just really enjoy him because he has a really good sense of what's going on around him, whether he cares or not, and he's like always wrapped up in it, even if he doesn't want to be. A perfect example would be at the very end with the hatch. And so that's my take on Hurley. I just love him.
Yeah. Boone's death was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I did not expect, because he was a pretty, like, main character, I would say, like, to an extent.
If you have flashbacks, you're in the circle.
Yeah. And, I mean, like, that whole thing, like, finding the heroin and, you know, like, finding that plane and then him talking to somebody on the radio and, like, those kind of things, that was all pretty crazy. And the fact that he, you know, died falling off of that was insane. And then after that, you know, Shannon just goes absolutely bonkers, which is his sister. And I mean, like, she just sucks. Like, I just don't, like, I do not like her as a character. As of right now, I'm just like, she's frustrating. She's just mad at everybody. She, you know, wants to not do anything on the island. So that's kind of annoying. And then, like, the whole Jin and Sun, like, thing going on.
I love their dichotomy, though.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, Sun speaks English and Jin didn't know, and then they get mad, and then they eventually get back together.
Yeah, at the end.
And so, like, I mean, they're, like, they're happy again. And then the raft leaves.
He's on it.
Yeah, so Jin leaves on the raft, and, I mean, that's kind of a sad moment where they're kind of, you know, leaving. And I mean, I sure as crap would not do that. That's, I mean, you're like going out into the middle of an ocean in a place where you have no idea what you're doing. I'd rather stay on the island, I think. One of the things that, which I get, it's J.J. Abrams and I love his work, but like the smoke monster, what the heck? Why is that happening? And I mean, maybe we'll find out at some point, but for me, I'm like, that doesn't really need to be there. We could have just had people on an island, you know, trapped on an island. Like, we don't need a sci-fi smoke monster that's sucking people into holes.
Yeah.
So that was a little interesting to me. Definitely excited for season 2, and we'll be doing a review of that soon. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited, and we have we bought the collector's edition set, and so it's got this thing called Season Play on it, and it's the coolest thing ever. It literally remembers
thing.
It remembers where you're at, tells you to put the next disc in, and then it just plays the next episode. It's really cool.
What questions you have going into season 2?
What the heck is the hatch? Why is it there? Why was it buried?
Oh, that ending shot though.
Yeah.
One, you had first off, the Walt thing at the end.
Yeah.
And then you have, like, that tragedy of poor Michael just yelling for his son.
Yeah.
And then you have, like, the zoom, or I guess the zoom down, of Jack and Locke, like, looking into the hatch. Like,
yeah.
I feel like that's one of the most iconic, like,
yeah, that was
visuals.
Interesting. And then, like, who the crap are the people on this boat that took Walt? Because that, like... Why are they there?
Who are they? Even?
Yeah, who are they? And then, like, my biggest question is, will they ever get off this island? You know, is it just, like, is there anything? And then, like, will Charlie get off the drugs? Because, I mean, like, heroin addiction's no joke, and you're on an island where you basically have no choice but to just, like, fight it, and hopefully, you know, you don't go crazy.
The ones I have are, what's the smoke monster? Just in general, and what's it gonna do? The hatch, because obviously. Who are the others? And then my other question is why Walt? Whenever we got to wherever, what's her face? The French lady?
Yeah.
Whatever her name is. Whenever she took, Aaron, we later find out his name is. When she got to that pillar, I was like, oh, maybe they want Walt, forgetting that actually happens and that's who they want. So my question is, why Walt? Why does he matter?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, you know, we'll be talking about Lost more. And if you enjoy this, let us know. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do that. We'll have the links down below. And other than that, we're just happy to have you here.
Yeah. I'm ready for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about season 1, what are your thoughts of season 1 if you've watched it recently or just have a really good memory? That's all for today.
See you guys.
Bye.